is novel night, so we're going to have 3 readers this evening. This is also a book launch for Joe. Novel night is a monthly event, so if you're interested in coming back, we do it every month. Our calendar of events is on our website, malvernbooks.com. And also, one more note before we get started. All of our fiction is going to be 20% off tonight for novel night. So thanks for coming. All right, and I will introduce your first reader for you. Our first reader is Kathryn Lane. Kathryn Lane, originally from Mexico, is the award-winning author of the Nikki Garcia thriller series. Kathryn took the long road to becoming an author. She has worked as a painter of landscapes, earned an MBA from the University of New Mexico, and worked in international finance. Waking Up in Medellin, the first Nikki novel, was named Best Fiction Book of the Year at the Killer Nashville International Mystery Writers Conference. Wow. The second Nikki thriller, Coyote Zone, won first place in the 2018 Action and Adventure category of the Latino Books into Movies contest. Backyard Volcano won the Best Short Story Collection 2018 at Killer Nashville. Kathryn lives in the Woodlands, Texas with her husband Bob Hurt, and she is a member of the Montgomery County Literary Arts Council. Welcome, Kathryn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for coming out on this stormy night. Well, I understand it's stormy in some parts of Boston anyway. It is such a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank Joe and congratulate him on the launch of his new book. And it's also such a pleasure to meet Phil, and he will be doing the reading immediately after me. It is because of people like you, fans and book lovers, that bookstores such as this one, which is one of the best in the country as far as I'm concerned, keeps alive and keeps going and keeps that community interest in books and authors. And it's so important. And of course, this one also in poetry, which is so important. I think that it is because of people like you that authors such as Joe and Phil and myself continue to write. And I'm always amazed by the fans and how sometimes our writing can touch different people in different parts of the world. And I would like to start out by reading an email that I got on my website yesterday morning. And this is from someone I of course have never met. She lives in Virginia, in the US, in the state of Virginia. And she says, "Hi, Miss Lane. First of all, I loved Waking Up in Medellin. Read it on my Kindle in 2 days, then continued right on to Coyote Zone. I was pleasantly surprised to see that the second book takes place in San Miguel de Allende, a place we're headed to in a few days for the opening of an exhibition of artworks by my late mother-in-law. I was then amazed that you actually went on to mention her, Leonora Carrington. And it was good to find out that there's a sculpture of hers on the hill overlooking the town. Neither I nor my husband Pablo, her younger son, knew that, and we'll be sure to look for it. I'd like to say that the timing of reading this particular book of yours is a happy coincidence. Leonora would have said it was synchronicity. Please keep writing Nikki Garcia books. Thanks, Wendy Weiss."
Wow.
And isn't that just amazing? That to me is so important, and it is far more important than any money an author can ever make. And that is what keeps me writing when I am surprised by things like this. Leonora was, just for those of you that don't know her, she was British, and she was she died in 2011. Before her death, she was one of the last people that linked our generation to people like Joan Miró and Picasso and Tanguy and Salvador Dalí and all of those painters, sculptors, even writers that were surrealists. And she met Max Ernst, and they fell in love, even though he was 25 years older than she was. and they went to Paris to live. And he left his wife. That's the unfortunate side, is he did leave his wife to go, but you know how artists are. And so when she died, there was that break with all of those people that, of course, had preceded her. But she was quite a character because Joan Miró one time said to her, "Here's some money, go buy me some cigarettes." And she said, "If you want cigarettes, you can bloody well go buy them yourself." So I thought, wouldn't that be wonderful to write a book about her someday? Anyway, I am not going to read the little cameo where she appears, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be better without glasses or with them. But I am going to be reading from, it can stay there. Oh, just don't worry about it. Oh, thank you. Such a gentleman, thank you. Coyote Zone takes place in San Miguel de Allende. It starts out with the protagonist, Nicky Garcia, on vacation in the Yucatan with her fiancé, Eduardo Duarte. And the phone rings, and the real story begins. She has to give up her vacation to go to San Miguel, where a 10-year-old child has been abducted. And so she's hired to find the child. So they travel to San Miguel, and Nicky goes to obviously talk to the mother, who is an Italian woman with a restaurant in San Miguel, and she's divorced, and her ex-husband lives in Italy still. And the mother thinks that the child has been abducted by her father, that is, the Italian husband has come over and abducted her. But Nicky, after talking to the mother, wants to go see where the child was abducted. And she goes to the open market, the Tianguis del Martes, Tuesday market, where the child suddenly disappeared. Well, Sophia, the mother, was buying things for the restaurant that she runs. And I'm going to start reading where Nicky has gone, but it's a market that's only open on Tuesdays. And it's not Tuesday, so there is no one there except for a bag lady who comes up to Eduardo and Nicky. And that's where I'm going to pick up, is that Eduardo starts asking questions, you know, like, have you ever seen a kidnapping here? And she says, oh yes, you know, there's this coyote that comes through and he, you know, takes children, and he buys food here when the moon is full. And Nicky thinks that this is all a lot of gibberish. And Eduardo says, no, wait, I want to ask her more questions. And Nicky says, then, ask her if she also hears wild coyotes howling at the full moon every month. And Nicky's looking very impatient. Ah, coyote, see, the man, he is a coyote, the old lady said. She put her bag on the ground and leaned heavily on her cane. She shook her head as she continued in Spanish. I think he takes people across the border into the United States. That's why he comes here, to get food during the full moon. What does a full moon have to do with it? Eduardo asked. He drives them to the border and smuggles them at night into the States under the new moon when the night is darkest. That's why they don't get caught by the migra. Yeah, the full moon, the new moon, Nicky said. She's full of shit. She apparently doesn't know immigration uses night vision goggles. Let's come back here on Tuesday when there are other people to talk to. And then Juana adds, El coyote. He took the little girl with the golden curls. Nicky stopped dead in her tracks and turned around. What did you say about the little girl with the golden curls? That man, the human trafficker, he stole her on Tuesday. How do you know? Nicky asked. Juana la marihuana saw him take her, Juana said as she patted herself on the chest. He offered her a puppy. That's why she followed him. Why didn't you stop him or yell him? Nicky demanded. I did speak up, but no one listened. They all think I'm crazy because I smoke marijuana. And so they in the end, Nikki says, well, she's a totally unstable, unreliable witness, so let's just go on. And the next day, they go back to speak to the mother of the child, and then they go back looking for Juana la Marihuana, who had told them that she sometimes begged for money near the town square in San Miguel. And so then when they find her, and I need to find my place because I have very little time to read to you. When they find her, because Nikki wants to ask her more questions, they're walking in the town center of San Miguel, and there is the church that's very famous, and then there is a park in front of the church that's called El Jardín. So this is where I pick it up again. 5 blocks beyond the Jardín, Nikki pointed at Juana trudging along, hunched over like a tired donkey, leaning heavily on her cane with each step. A shabby, pint-sized dog followed her, perhaps a Pomsky, a Pomeranian husky cross. Its hair so matted and dirty it was almost impossible to distinguish it from a mutt. We're in for luck, Eduardo said. I thought she would have disappeared, never to be seen again. Buenos dias, Juana said. She stood and leaned on her cane as Nikki and Eduardo approached her. Se levantaron temprano. Early? We got up early, Eduardo asked. He covered his eyes with his hands as he leaned his head back and spotted the sun high overhead. It's almost noon. That's early for an old woman like me, Juana continued in Spanish. This body doesn't move well in the morning, not until after the 4th cup of coffee. I spike my coffee with mezcal to lubricate the old bones. Juana cocked her head to one side, took her hand to her neck, and rubbed it. Then, with a big, semi-toothless smile, she looked at Eduardo in a flirtatious manner as she scratched her left hip. Mi chulo, you should try mezcal in your coffee. The Pomsky, looking as tired as its owner, had stretched out near Juana's feet. Eduardo ignored her comment. We want to ask you a few more questions, he said. Juana looked at Eduardo for several seconds before answering. She cleared her throat and scratched her right armpit, almost in unison with the Pomsky, who had turned over and with his hind leg now reaching up to his head, clawed behind one of his ears with vigor. Juana turned her head down to see the canine. She took her foot out of the dirty old sandal she wore and poked him. Enough of that, Figaro. Stop. The pup stood up, shook the dust off his skinny little body, whimpered, and looked up at Juana. Figaro, Nikki said, from the Barber of Seville? That's my favorite opera. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you so much, Kathryn.
You're welcome.
Next up,